What do I do when my circuit breaker trips?
The first thing you want to do is not close your breaker back in. You definitely want to go in and investigate what caused the trip in the first place. And if you're uncomfortable with investigating to find the cause, call us up and we'll take care of it for you. We'll investigate it for you.
First and foremost, the most important thing you need to determine is why did the circuit breaker trip? So breakers with electronic trip units will have a cause of trip indication. That will tell you whether it was a long time delay or overload, whether it was a short time or instantaneous, which are short circuit type trips, or a ground fault trip. But most important is to determine why it tripped and if the fault is isolated to prevent you from closing into a fault. There are additional questions that need to be asked when you have a trip. What was going on at the plant at the time? Were they energizing loads? Did a particular piece of equipment fail, which caused the trip? Was there a lightning storm? Was there power problems from the utility? These can all affect your system, causing abnormal operation of devices within your plant, which can then cause current draw, which can trip the circuit breaker. So most important is to figure out why it happened, isolate the breaker, and then you can reclose the breaker and see if it holds.
The first thing you want to do is to find out why the circuit breaker tripped. You do not want to just close the breaker back in because you might be closing it in on another fault. So if it has a solid state overcurrent device, or some of them have the analog but they'll have a little push button, a lot of times it will tell you whether that circuit breaker tripped on long time, short time, instantaneous, or ground fault. So find out first why the breaker tripped before you close it back in.
So if the cause of the trip of the circuit breaker can't readily be determined, it might be time to get some professional help with it, whether that be your local electrician or a testing company or Carolina Precision Switchgear. Closing into a fault can be extremely dangerous. That is probably the worst time in the life of a circuit breaker. So by all means, if you're unsure, get some help.